دكتور عادل، أنا بتوقع إنه بتقدر تبلش، لأنه أنا بعثت تذكير للدكتور فوزي وما رد.
Good morning, everybody. sorry for this inconvenience. Yeah, I have to restart my laptop. You all, I'd like to most welcome you all to this important preparatory meeting for the as we are moving forward to the development of the global manifesto on forgotten foods. As you all know, we have this series of consultations and meetings that led to the development of our regional agenda on forgotten foods. And now, at this stage, we ahead of us with the plans and deadlines for the final development and finalization of the global manifesto, then the development of the uh, community practices, and at the end, the plan of actions. That means the implementation of our declaration or manifesto on forgotten foods. As I indicated earlier that I, in consultation with the executive director, we selected 10 of you to represent Aranina in this global webinar on forgotten foods. There is some changes in the you see the schedule of that meetings. I will let you know later. But our meeting for the day, the main objective is to prepare ourselves and to rehearse for the global webinar on forgotten foods. Of course, we have to concentrate on our regional agenda on forgotten foods. You see, we have many. So during our you see this series of consultations, we agreed on many regional agenda on forgotten foods. You see, and in my maybe previous two emails, I send you some proposed agenda for this meeting, which include we have to concentrate on to agree on key topics, 5 areas that we have to present and strongly concentrate on them during this global consultation. We have to see identify maybe 5 to 7 areas that we in the global meeting we have to see to stress on them. Also, we have to outline to see why moose or neglected and class species and what are important and their benefits. Just joint listing for joint listing of this. There are many. We can just list as we can. Then we have to talk about on how we can transform the current research and innovation system in favor of moose and forgotten foods. And what are the research priorities on moose and forgotten foods? Our regional priorities, the research priorities. We have to mention 3 to 5 research priorities, and what the kind of policy changes we are looking for in favor of forgotten food in our region and beyond. We have to also speak a little bit about funding mechanisms and investments on these moose and forgotten foods in the region. And maybe the last one is our involvement in this in the global webinar. For example, the division of roles. Some may talk about the the inventory conservation, prioritization, and maybe gaps, entry points. Maybe some might talk about just this proposals about the expected change in research and innovation systems. Some might talk about the private research areas. Some two or three might talk also. Each group may be composed of two or three. Might come talk about the policy changes from the mechanism. You see, just you see, we just organization of ourselves during that meeting. You see, every two or three have certain topic to intervene in the global meeting. You see, this maybe will better organize ourselves. You see, and prepare for that meeting. The meeting, there's a little bit change in the meeting. At the beginning, they are talking about 29th and 30th of June for this global meeting. Now they are talking about June 28th. This is for the, you see, for, yes, yes, for group works, you see. Uh, if I see summarize what will happen in the meeting. First, every regional organization will present the methodology and the results and the outcome of the series of discussion which resulted in the development of the regional manifesto. Then after that will be general discussion. Then groups will be formed based on the what comes from the presentations and the discussion. Maybe 4 or 5 groups. These will be mixed groups. You see from different regions. You see in each groups you see the region will have a representative. Each region will have a representative on that group. You see, and discuss this. It was just the specific topic. Then we will come out with their views and outcome. This is in day 1, 20th, day 2, 29th. Then the GFAR, Crop for Future, and Alliance of Biodiversity in SEAT will receive those inputs from the groups and incorporate them in the draft manifesto, the global draft manifesto. Then on the 30th of June, I see a larger meeting will be, online meeting will be carried out, including additional stakeholders, you see, you all, and then maybe others from regional and international organizations, especially farmers association, youth and women, see, private sector, see. This is the day 3. They are talking about maximum of 30 participants. They will discuss this draft manifesto, and also they lay down the foundation for the community of practices that is necessary for the development of plan of action, which will be submitted to the donor. See, and this is the tentative agenda, but you receive the exact agenda. You see, soon, very soon in your emails. As we send your names and affiliation and your email to give our secretariats. They will send you see the program, the full program. With this, I think if there is no addition or deletion on this proposed agenda, we can go forward and tackle each one separately. Any addition, deletion for this agenda, or okay, if not, then we have to go for the first agenda. We have to identify key topics or priority areas. As I'm suggesting, just 5 or to 7. We are listing more than 10, but maybe we can just see identify 5 to 7. I as when I pass through yesterday, yeah, there is a possibility, you see, to merge some private areas. You see, maybe two sometimes you see in one private areas. That's possible. You see, so we can see talk about 5, maybe to 7 priority areas or key topics that Ranira would like to see in the global manifesto. For example, I'm suggesting that we have to talk about the inventory, tabbing of the conservation, utilization, prioritization, gaps, entry point, and the intervention. You see, this all 2 points. I put them in one priority areas with inventory and see uh, intervention both in one point. Then talking about the networks for bottom food, which should be based on multi-stakeholder approach. And this will also include maybe the participatory research and innovation approach, entailing the ecological, social, and economic aspects. This may be 2 or 3 in one. We have to talk about the capacities development, both the technical and the functional capacity in one point. Maybe we can talk about advocacy and evidence for policy change. We can include the legislation for proper rights for local farmers. We can talk about support to food, to seed system, all this. And I can talk about incentives for mouse forgotten food. See, we can talk about including forgotten foods and feeding of schools, hospital, feeding this maybe tools, you know. We can talk about the investment in infrastructure, production, harvesting, processing, and marketing. We can talk about establishment of knowledge and information sharing mechanism and documentation, or maybe in one point, which will maybe form nucleus for global one. I just try to see to merge some of the priority areas so that we can consolidate them. Maybe I'm listing now about 7. But we are open to see for any suggestion maybe from you regarding the key topics of priority areas. We are going to concentrate and see on this and stress on this.
For the inventory, it's a
Okay,
Dr. Adil, I think the inventory is a must for.
Yeah.
I think the inventory, I think if we go with them one by one, I think the inventory is a must. I think we should have the inventory as the first item of
yes.
this work, because that's really very important for everybody.
We have an inventory, we have the tabbing, the state, also maybe linked to inventory. I thought we can merge these two, 1 and 2. If you have this manifesto in front of you, then we have the networks. When we have this approach, which include the ecology, the research, you see, include the ecological, social, and economic aspects. We have the capacity development, and we have this technical capacity and functional capacities. This might be one. We have the new research, you see, innovation system. We can talk about the participatory technology development approach. We have advocacy and evidence-based policy change. We can talk about support of sustainable. This is, I think, government responsibility support of sustainable farmer system. We provide protecting farmer rights. You see, Oh, yeah, we have also this market, actually, market and value chain, you see, and I mean, value addition is very important. This is an important point. The market, very important. So I think I can do it like this. I will summarize this. I will send you. You see, this the first agenda. I will send you what I summarized. Then I will expect to receive your feedback. You see on that.
Just Doctor, may I talk a little bit?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm raising my hands. And,
Okay.
Just to clarify, would this kind of prioritization be related to time or to prioritization for action, or to what? I mean, what will be the guiding agent for this prioritization, according to what? To what?
Both time and action, both.
Time and action, and not
Time
fund,
and action.
not
Yes.
fund allocation, not fund allocation.
Fund allocations come later. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, time and plays. It's crucial to put some issues on the board, like the ethnobotanical knowledge related to the to those species. Of course, inventory can be done side by side with those things that I'm mentioning. Ethnobotanical knowledge documentation, because this is being lost, and at the same time conservation side by side with inventory. We inventory the species, we set status according to the red lists of the country, and do the urgently the conservation. Conservation, the collection missions for conservation should go side by side with those, without delay of any of those parts.
Okay. Then 1 and 2 will be mentioned. Yeah.
So in this case, I could understand that point 1 and point 2 we are considering point 1 and 2. Is that right, Dr. Khalid?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Going side by side.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I would suggest also number 3, the research network through the platform, because that would be important. And also in Arenina, we are running the network in this direction. So that would be very good. And we have also different people and experts in this area. I know.
Also, Doctor, if I am to add here, an issue that is very crucial here to protect those species is the legal frameworks. That is connected to maybe formulating the laws, adding different instructions to the already their laws. For example, in Jordan, we have the law of agriculture 24. It states literally under the jurisdiction the cut and the removal of the wild species, and they left the listing of those wild species, priority species, to the minister to identify. And this can easily be adhered to the gap here, and reach to a legal framework that readily already available partially to be effective in the place.
I think, Dr. Khalid, if you may allow me, that number 2, which was considered for the conservation, and number 12, which is dealing with the protector farmers' rights on US and forgotten foods. I think if we choose those 2 points, we could cover what you are saying about. Is that right?
Yes, perfect. But Doctor, farmers' rights could be connected directly to the Nagoya Protocol, because farmers' rights here, we are talking about a broader spectrum than the farmers' species. We are talking about even the wild edible species. And most of those, they are under the jurisdiction of the Nagoya Protocol approach of transfer, or the way of transfer, rather than the cultivated species. So here we can state it like this, maybe putting into effect the access and benefit sharing provisions of Nagoya protocol that Jordan is part of it on the jurisdictions of such species.
Okay. Then now we are talking about 1 and 2. We have to add these legislations and the legal framework for protection of this news. And we have, in general, we have to talk about national legislation. Can we
Yes,
talk about legal?
exactly. Both national legislations and the conventions. And the conventions mean the Nagoya here, and the national legislations, the domestic legislations that are maybe there or to be created.
Okay, this we have done with one. Then what about the networks with the platform?
Yeah, this is a priority, but not as urgent as those mentioned earlier now.
No. As I start from the beginning, I put those two in as first priority. Then we have to move to the second one. So as I said, you have to talk about 5 to 7 priority areas maybe. Now we'll put number 1.
Okay, Professor Adel, I have some comments regarding number 1 and 2.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. In fact, number 1, I mean, this inventory, it was, we do have the preliminary database of NUS, and of course this was done based on the literature review from publications from Oman and from international publication. So I think such kind of exercise could be done by researchers, and he might be compile all the what they call it, the inventory of this neglected and underutilized species, such as what I did. And for number 2, the state of conservation. Of course, it is very important for conserving this material, these genetic resources, either in situ or ex situ. And of course, characterization as part of the gene bank operation is very important. And when we talk about characterization, we should put more emphasis about characterization of phytochemical of this plant species, because these phytochemicals will tell us what kind of valuable nutritional values on these plants, what is health components of these plants. And so the characterization is not only morphological characterization. We should include kind of what they call it phytochemical characterization, because this will help us on other points, such as advocating for the benefit of these species for food, or returning these species to our menu, to our table. But this could be not done unless we tell them why this are important. It's not just sufficient to tell the pupil it was eaten earlier, but now it's forgotten. No, we should add information. And of course, with the knowledge, we can advocate on the importance of neglected and underutilized species. So this is my 2 comments here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. So then, any comments?
Fadila, I think she's.
Well, Dr. Fadila, Zubaida?
Yes, good morning. I support Dr. Ali Lowati in that for what he mean about the last point, that this is will be under the awareness. We need to also have the awareness, which is can save this this material, and these people, if they are educated, how they collect it, how they can conserve it, or even educated that about the importance of this plant. So I'm supporting Dr. Ali on the last point, as will be added and clarified, studied, and we should also put some point under this awareness for the for either for the scientists or for the people who are working in the field. I mean, the farmer, and also the number of people who are, dealing with this youth and the women also. So this is very important, the awareness. Without the awareness, nobody can know the importance of this plant. So awareness is an important also issue to with the conservation and these things.
We have awareness here, yeah. Okay.
Already we have the awareness in point number 9, so I don't know if we consider point 9 as one of the components or we just add it to the previous ones. But I think number 9, awareness, is the point mentioned here.
Yes, of course, awareness based on information and knowledge, as Dr. Fadil also said.
Yeah, I mean, without this knowledge to give it to the people, I mean, it is part of the awareness to give all this information to these people who are concerned on the either collection or maintenance, or the people who are, they don't know, I mean, they have this material, but they don't know about the importance of this material. So how you will do inventory and how we will do the conservation without helping of these people. To make these people helping you, I mean, they should understand what they have, what is the valuable things they have. It is valuable things. It will be maybe alternative for the food, for food security. People, they don't know about it. We have one tree, which is yesterday I was discussing. I don't know the name in English. It is bambar. You might, maybe Dr. Ali know about this tree.
Yeah.
Nobody care about it. But when I, try to dig about the benefit of this one, it has a medical benefit. It has a lot of benefit. It is a very good tree for also to be, putting for against the wind. This is nobody in Kuwait even know this one, or just every time it's getting, I mean, they eating the things and they are not aware this is important. Nobody care about it. So without teaching these people, without emphasizing on the awareness, you will not get nobody will help you on the inventory. People and normal people and the farmer and these people who are not educated, also you need them during your inventory and during your collection. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. You see, if you read the number 1 carefully, we see the word inventory, we see the word prioritization, and we see the word
may I
the
add
form
some
criteria. You see?
also? Dr. Adil, may I add some comments?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Good morning, dear all again. Actually, to put forward the key topics, I totally agree with Dr. Ali Al-Lowati, because I think the utilization and characterization of lost and forgotten foods should be the first step of our schedule, because these species might change from country to country, from region to region, and this should be the first step. And also, it is not only will be enough to say to the farmers just produce this species, because we should increase their awareness of the benefit of changing this product pattern. They will, after that, they will start to support. Thank you.
Okay. You as I can continue, as I said in prioritization, we are talking about inventory, then we are talking about nutritional profiling, then we have farmers, smallholder farmers with climate change, then we have we will come with a short list of the species that meet the above criterion. Then we use the process, include the inventory, the nutrition profiling or the nutrition value, then the additional merits like climate change adaptation, adaptation for marginal lands or poor soil, salinity, drought, you see. Then we come up with, combine these two, we come up with a short list that will form our priority list. These are all, so it's got out of saying that the nutritional profile is very important. Nutrition and medicinal, you see, but the medicinal one is still controversial since we don't have till now a strong scientific solid base, you see, for this medicinal, but we all know that they have the medicinal value. We tried, you see, and it worked, you see, just that science has to work to validate this, you see, to prove it, you see, regarding the medicinal value. That is why we are not seeing a lot of talks and literature on the medicinal value. Okay, then we agree on this, the inventory, the conservation, calculation, the regulations, framework, you see. Then we move to the networks, the novel research networks. What should improve?
For example, here we would like to know about the climate zone of
who is talking?
Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Welcome, Tarabi.
Yeah, so I agree with all the speakers so far, and it's really very important. And like you also mentioned, the medicinal value, actually, it has to be emphasized. And in addition to the nutritional value, as well as the climate change adaptation of the different orphan crops or underutilized crops, so to say. For me personally, I think once we have this criteria set and we can all agree on what we use in the prioritization list in identifying and taking the inventory of these crops, then I think it's a good start for us. So I agree with what everybody has said so far. It's cool.
Thank you, Dr. Talabi. Then Dr. Rida, I heard you are talking about the networks and platforms.
Yes, I think we should make it up to a platform, because networks, they connect, there is information dissemination between the networks, there is kind of, but when we go to the platform is interactive. So I think if we think of really going up to establishing a platform for the forgotten foods and the neglected species, I think that would be really a good thing, because people could get ideas, they could discuss these ideas, and then we might end up with some entrepreneurship or some startups or some spin-offs out of those ones. We have already started establishing a platform for date palm. So in a year or so, we'll be having that platform working, and it will be connecting people, and they could interact with each other. So I think this is really very important. Now we have a network, we have started a network at Arenina. So I think if we work to get this network up to a platform, that would be very important for forgotten food and the neglected species. Thank you. دكتور عادل الميكروفون عندك muted.
I mean, upgrading of the network to a platform
Yes.
that is multi-stakeholders, platforms, interactive, you see, all are involved from the planning, implementation up to the end of the value chain. That's okay. And this research network, what can we, what platform, what can we link to it? What can we link to it? You see, the approach that this platform
Well,
can link with.
platform would have the researchers, would have the farmers, would have even the investors, companies, industry. All of these people can really interact in the platform. So it's somehow really much more interactive than a network. Yeah. Although it needs some fund really to establish a platform and to build the platform and to operate the plan for the platform.
Dr. Khalid has, I think, he has raising his hand.
Okay, Dr. Khalid.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. I already wrote what I was about to say, that if we are stick to a certain time frame that I'm not aware of, we have to put really what are priorities. So in such case, things that will take time and will not be aiding in protecting and authenticating these kind of species shouldn't be a priority at the time being. If we have a very limited time frame, we have to prioritize, to strictly prioritize, like actions on inventory, documentation, and conservation, and state legal framework and status. Those time. So if we are in a very limited time frame, we shouldn't, like for example, put research as first priority.
Yeah, Dr. Khalid, yes, sir. Yes, we consider time, but at the end of the day, we would like to put all our priorities. You see, all of them. You see,
regardless of time. Regardless of time.
Yes.
Okay.
All
okay.
The more. Yeah. But in time series, you see, this is first, this is second, this.
Yes, understood. Yes, now understood.
Just to add to Dr. Khalid's point, in fact, when I did the inventory list for Oman for forgotten food, of course, as I said, I had it from literature review. Then also what I did, I checked for any kind of publication, even it's not in Oman and worldwide, about its nutritional or health perspective or bioactive perspective. So sometimes you don't need to do it in the country. If it's already someone, especially with a new region, did something similar to your species. So this is also will help us. But of course, you need then, when the resources are available and time is available, you to check in your genetic material. Do they have such kind of what they call it values, or might be different, or might be more or less? This is could be done, of course, in the later stage. This is my comment to Yani. So of course, inventory, collection, and then of course conservation, characterization is very important priorities in this stage. Thank you.
Okay.
And documentation.
But yes, this is unfair. In this case, we need a coordinator, facilitator, you see, to coordinate all of this, you see, to contact the different countries, with them to do this and provide him with this what is needed, you see, and sharing with each other, see, to determine the gaps. This is very important. We have to assign a coordinator or facilitator for this platform or network soon. I see the list is not yet exhausted, or the members of this network, because many of the member countries didn't send their representative in this network or platforms. But I think for Rida, we can urge them to send representative and to assign, you see, a coordinator, maybe a facilitator, as soon as possible. So we can move forward with this priority number one. Then we have to move a little bit fast. Then we are talking about the platform, you see, as an approach. Then I think what else we are talking about the capacity, very important. See? We are talking about the awareness, you see. We can talk about the new research and innovation system we are going to follow, you see. Very important. It's not, I don't think it's new, but maybe it's new for forgotten food. Many countries are following this bottom of the approach. They are following this innovation platforms in many countries. And neglect and other species. We have to talk about the cost of market, very important, of value addition, very important, and investment, is very important. So I think what I heard from you up to now, I can see summarize this to a few points and add, you see, what I see about this marrying of some of these priority areas, and we'll send you, see, and maybe to expect up to Monday, Tuesday, we'll see the feedback. I will work on it maybe today. We send you. We have this Friday and Saturday vacation, so we have maybe Sunday and Monday to have your feedback on these priority areas. Is this okay with you? Is it okay?
Yes, it's
Fadila,
it's okay.
Fadila? Dr. Fadila?
Yes,
Dr. Fadila?
yes, I'm with you here. In the last 15, that's for about the network. Do you want to now to put it as a one network, or you want to go directly to the platform?
We will have to upgrade it. You see, now it's not network. We are moving forward to upgrade it, the platform, because now we are still talking about the researchers. You see, when we have all the other stakeholders, then we automatically.
So it will stay as a network now.
Yeah, but we will upgrade to platform when we have all the
later. Yes.
On board.
Thank you.
Okay. Then we have I think this is, you all know. Don't need to take time on it. The importance of these news, molecular and the species and the benefit. Do we have to go through, or it's okay? Number 2. Why neglect and unpreserved species are important, and what are the benefits? Is it necessary to go through? It's okay.
Which document? The same
The
document?
email I sent you, see?
No need. And the agenda, the provisional agenda sent by the email.
The email. Why neglected and underserved species are important, and what are the benefits?
There are many reasons for this. So many reasons that we can list easily.
Do you want to list some, Dr.
Yes,
Abdullah?
first
Okay.
and foremost, it is part of our culture.
Mm,
This is an identity of ours.
mm,
The second thing is its nutritional value. And the third thing, many of which can be candidates. If you are looking to the future, many of which could be good candidates to be domesticated and to become new commodities to be added to the list of commodities available to the world to aid in food security. And they are part of the ecosystem, the natural ecosystem, many of which are part of the natural ecosystems. So keeping them, relieving pressure on them in the wild by cultivation will aid in the healthiness and the sustainability of the ecosystem. And also, of course, all of these are under the 3 pillars of the CBD and the international treaty, because many of these species, they are generally belong to the international treaty or the CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity. So doing what we are doing, our endeavor helps committing the provisions of the conventions, the international or global conventions.
okay. In addition?
This is what comes to my mind so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have, excuse me, I have
Okay,
just
Dr.
one
Fadila?
point, if you allow me. Yes, it is very important also for biodiversity. You know, it's increase the biodiversity and the in the system, in the ecosystem. So adding these, I mean, it's give more diverse for the yes. Thank you. What Dr. Khalid give is, I think they cover everything. And he is not lefting anything for us. And just adding the it will give more biodiversity for the ecosystem. Thank you.
For their resilience to climate change, very important. They are growing on marine lands in which no stable food crop can be grown, and they are sources of some desirable genes.
Yes.
Example, tolerant to
Yes.
drought, disinfectors, even nutrients.
Yes. I mean, also their genes maybe can be used for modify other weak crops or these things.
Yeah. That is now what they are doing on biofortification or biofortified crops or biofortification. This transferring of these genes are which are responsible for production of these micronutrients. Otherwise, food bank or ground or stable.
Will be enhance the agriculture. I mean, part of this.
I don't know, Dr. Adil, if there is still any vacancy for the capacity building, especially when we consider the youth, women in this field.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of our main priority areas.
I think this is very important to be considered.
Yeah, development. Okay. Then we have
if you allow me, Dr. Adil, I didn't raise my hand, but if you allowed me for just what Dr. Rida is raising about the capacity building is not just for women and youth. Yeah, capacity building for this type of food or plant, it is, I mean, this is, we can consider it as nobody touch it, nobody know about it. It's not capacity building for these people. It's also, it will be capacity building for the researcher, for the people who are doing the inventory, for the, I mean, farmers, I mean, for a big part of, people who are working in this field. It's not just for women and for the youth. We also include everybody who will be involved in in this type of food, whatever his job, he need to be to given, I mean, his training, his information, and other things which is included in the capacity building. Thank you.
Yeah, you are right. It's a capacity building for all along the value chain. It's neglected and underinvested. Because as you see, many are concentrating on youth and on women, but not for only youth, but for all.
Especially Dr. Adil,
Yeah,
this is these type of food also, or I mean their seeds. I mean maybe it will not be grown easily because this is I mean for the climate change, and to adapt them is not easy. So I mean really, I mean we need the capacity building to be done for all these
even
people.
for the researchers,
Yes, for the researcher, of course, because you know if they are characterizing these things, I mean they need also to know how they can adapt this type of seeds, or I mean or this type of I mean a plant, how they will use it, how they can transfer, I mean to enhance this type of fruit also, I mean the plant also, or seeds. Thank you.
Welcome. Then we move to the third point, transformation of the current research and innovation system in favor of NUS, forgotten first. They are neglected or forgotten because they are receiving less attention even from the research.
Yes, yes. I think, yes, thank you very much, Professor Adil. يعني, a lot of ideas it may arise from how to utilize this what they call it, neglected, underutilized species as food. I remember once, I think FAO, they publish, or not FAO, Biodiversity International, might be 8 years more. They publish how to use this neglected food in cuisines. I mean, the يعني cuisines like whatever cuisine, salads or things like that. So they involve this underutilized species, neglected species in their food, in their restaurants. And this is could be taken from the traditional knowledge of who were using this in the food. For example, in Oman, we do have species that is just in the country, and in Oman is found only in Oman and the United Arab Emirates. This species, they use it, for salad, green salad, and they use it. They call it Omani tabbouleh. They just substitute this baqdounes with that leaves. So, such kind of appealing to the consumers will really will attract for using, as small or medium, small, might be small businesses. And when I talk with my colleagues, Omani colleagues, female or male, they were interested, and they said, "Oh, we may make a restaurant from these, special dishes from these ingredients, from this food." And yes, there is a potential. I mean, if we think about the consumers will be benefited from this as a food, we can be really innovative from our research. Of course, when we back it up with the information, with its nutritional health, and it is nutritional health, that things will really rise its market. So might be if we go from the innovation perspective, we go from the perspective or the eyes of the consumers, what they do need from this kind of species. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Ali?
Thank you very much. For me, this point goes directly to the breeding. Because many of these species are wild, and being wild, they have the offensive mechanisms or defensive mechanisms of the for the enemies, for the insects. Those defensive mechanisms, they are most likely not demanded by the consumers, and to make the commodity more appealing to be commercialized, they need to be worked on from a breeding point of view. I give some examples. The removal of the prickles of some of these species, maybe magnifying the heads that are eaten, the capitula that are the target of the consumers, playing with the colchicine, the aneuploidy level of the chromosomes to magnify the size of the flowers where the flowers are consumed. So it's totally or purely breeding. It will be breeding programs toward domestication and introducing to the consumers added value to such species by changing the unwanted characters and focusing and manifesting the wanted characters from this particular commodity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Khalid. See, for civil race hand, who is us? Who's raising hand now?
Yes, I want to add to
Okay.
Dr. Khalid point. For example, yes, I agree with him about a lot of these species are wild, or it might be semi-wild. Some of them they just they take it from their and might be from their guardian or something like this. But of course, breeding it takes time. But I think we should also think about selection. For example, we do have a business where a farmer, what they call it, an agri-businessman, who started selecting kind of wild species of Zateria multiflora. He collected from different mountains and valleys, and he picked the one that is most, what they call it, appealing and most protective, producing. And from that selection, he produced his, we may say his variety, which take only might be 3 to 4 years. Breeding might be taking a little bit more, especially if we are going to do a traditional manner. So some of these species could go through selection, which is kind of breeding, in fact, but not the primitive or the most easiest way is to do selection among the ecotypes that you do have, that has a good and appealing traits or characteristics, and that can also accept to the agronomical practices. And I think we can go through many of the species of NUS in this direction. But of course, I agree with Dr. Khalid. Eventually, breeding is needed at the end for improving what you have. Thank you.
Okay, who's raising hand also? Somebody is raising hands. Okay, I can add. You see, what were we? Who's?
Excuse me, Dr. Adil.
Okay, I have. Okay.
Yes. I'm totally agree with what Dr. Ali said and what Dr. Khalid said for either to have breeding or selection or these things. But I want to add something. Maybe it is not. It is related to transform these to food. We should characterize this. This type of food. Plant or seed or whatever we are transferring to food, and we should know what is the, because some of them, they have some part which is poisonous and some part which has effect on the health. So we should go also for this before we transfer this, this neglected food, which is nobody know about it. So maybe some part of it, it is not good for to utilize it as a food. So I think this will go through the maybe capacity building, through capacity building, or it could be, can put it under the characterization, is to identify the benefit part, and if there is any part which is not good for the health, if it is poisonous or something like this, because a lot of these material have benefit, but some part of it, if you eat it, it will be poisonous for the human or for these people. Thank you. Maybe this is, I don't know if this will add something to what Dr. Khalid and Dr. Ali is mentioned. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Dr. Fadila. What I can see, agenda number 3 and 4, I think they're somehow linked. That is why we have some confusion between these two agendas. What we mean by changing the research and evaluation system? We mean that we have to follow maybe not a new approach, but new for forgotten food. Is some people are following it in maybe stable crops, but not in the neglected and underdeveloped species. With this we mean that the smallholder producers, particularly as talking about the indigenous people, like women and youth and farmers, smallholder farmers in general, should be at the center of this new system. Yes, it is a multi-stakeholder system, but the center of it is the smallholder producers, people who are living in this ecosystem. See, this should be the center, should be a source of knowledge, source of community knowledge, which will be amalgamated or mixed with the scientific knowledge of researchers. Is what it meant is a multi-stakeholder approach or a platform of set in which all partners in the research of innovation system are on board from the outset of the planning throughout the technology and innovation development and release. Yes, it is a participatory approach that we consider all the aspects, including the ecological, the social, and the economic aspects, sometimes the cultural ones. See? That's what we mean by the new approach. It's not new maybe for other cause, but it's new for the loose or neglected and underserved species. The second point, which we talk about the kind of research or priority areas of research that we are needed, or then we can talk about the crop improvement of breeding. It's a very important skill, you see. Domestication, we can talk about the nutritional profiling, because many of them are, not studied nutritionally. Even the medicinal value of this crop, we have to prove it scientifically. We can talk about the characterization of this moose, even using the molecular tools for advanced genomic tools. You see, so I think what we all mentions goes to agenda number 4, which is the kind of research priority areas. That's right. Number 1, number 3, we are talking about core research. Even the smallholder procedures should be included from the beginning. You see, so the new system we are looking for, we would like to see that all are involved, all can contribute from the planning up to the implementation, up to marketing, maybe up to market. So this, we can summarize it in core research and core innovations. And what you mentioned falls in the kind of research priorities we are looking for in neglected and underutilized species. Thank you. Dr. Ali? Dr. Khalid?
Yes, thank you very much for giving the floor. In addition, for the research priority here, in addition to what you have just mentioned, breeding and these things, I would add here the optimal conservation conditions, research on optimal conservation conditions, ex situ and in situ. Optimal conservation conditions. In situ means the ecology of the seed, the ecology of the plant, the surroundings, and the ex situ, this means the gene banking conditions, maybe the preparations, pre-banking treatment, dealing with the seeds ahead of banking, these kind of things. So let's put it like that. Optimal conservation conditions. This includes in situ and ex situ relevant research.
Thank you, Dr. Khalid.
You're welcome.
Okay, then we have the policy changes we are looking for. The situation now and what we are looking for to change. Dr. Khalid, you are talking in Jordan, you have some legislations regarding the use and the bottom field. So you have the floor, you can elaborate on that.
Regarding the policies, you mean, Doctor?
Yeah, policies, yeah.
I think this should be incorporated in the MBSABs of each particular country, like because many of those species, they belong to the wild, and they should be incorporated or maybe highlighted under the MBSABs, the national policies of the Ministry of Environment in this case. For the legal frameworks, I don't think this is tackled here. You mean only policies, right? Not legal frameworks.
Well, what about the incentives?
Yes. The details, yes, could be, yes. The details could be could include incentives for the local communities who are the custodians, the real custodians of those elements. Also, the putting into effect the provisions of the treaties that are ratified, like the access and the prior informed consent, and these kind of things that are all relevant to the use of these species, and encourage the sustainable utilization, incentivize the conservation and the sustainable utilization at the same time. Also focusing on the gender issue here, because the gender issue plays a very major role in the conservation and the sustainable utilization.
I would like to also to add from the perspective about the policy. I think in coming July or August, there will be an international United Nations food sustainability and food enhancement. And for example, Oman, we include in our document that will be submitted to that United Nations meeting about the importance of this NUS. So might be in such case, we are in fact flagging the importance of NUS in an international meeting. It could be, for example, from experience perspective, is a first step that the country is interested in such kind of species in a document that will be submitted for international meeting. Thank you very much.
Okay. When we move about the funding mechanisms and investment, your thought, they are neglected. How we can source the funds and the investment needed to make them come back to our system.
You know, I want to add in this on the issue of funding. Of course, there are two mechanisms, either by national. So the national,
yeah.
yes, the national one,
Yeah.
and usually, and there are government. Usually, government is funding such kind of research. So we do have, for example, funding from Ministry of Agriculture, or funding from the Ministry of Higher Education and Research and Innovation. And the second one, in case of Oman, is the most one that are going for universities and to the scientists. And if the government, for example, the United Nations, the Ministry of Higher Education in Oman, accept the concept of importance of the NUS, then I think they are going, for example, to have a fund like might be like might be $300,000, $250 for research that dealing with such kind of concept. Might be also for, I am not sure about the mechanisms of the Ministry of Agriculture. However, they do have one funding entity that also can fund such kind of mechanism. So this is the national one. The international one, if provided to a scientist or group of scientists within the country, this will bring attention to the national government that this is an important issue that should be, the country should also fund for it. And I think if the international funding organization, they do have kind of seed funding that to tell the governments, the national government, like this, we are international funding organization and we are funding you, your scientist, your researcher in this field. So maybe this also will help the national scientists, researchers to do kind of, to get in the future additional fund from the government, from the national government. So this is my mechanisms. If the government approve that this is an important issue, they will fund from through different mechanisms. And then international fund is important to alert the national government that this is an important issue. Thank you.
Dr. Zubaydah, can we have your Turkish experience on this?
Yes, for me, yes, for the funding issue being important and being highlighted under the MBSAB and under the priorities of the research institutions will automatically direct the fund toward conservation and sustainable utilization of those species, and of course characterization and utilization. Now also in addition to that, maybe raising the awareness of the researchers and the different stakeholders in charge with the research process and adding value of these species toward participating in the legal endeavor, the global endeavors that focuses on the conservation and utilization of such species, and like for example, the Environmental Facility Fund or the IFAD and those kind of funding agencies that their mandate is to conserve the different elements of the ecosystems, is with focus of those that are important for human utilization.
Dr. Khalid. Dr. Zubaida?
Yes.
Something, yeah.
Actually, for Turkey, for the policy and funding issues, I think I should discuss with the representative of Arena of Turkey, Dr. Bülent Sönmez. Either me or you, we should mention about this to him.
Thank you. Dr. Rida, can we, in the
Yes,
future, can we talk about some kind
for
of
funding,
regional mechanism?
yes,
Regional
for
one
fund,
and
it's
develop
Actually-
regional projects.
okay, Dr.
Actually, after we summarize all of these points and see the priorities which we'll go through, I think according to each priority, we can look at the funding agencies and or people who would really fund that. Like for the platform, I might see like the FAO or one of those agencies which might help us in that direction. But it depends now on, after we finish everything, we have to search who is really would support, because I don't think we will find one funding agency which will be interested in all aspects
Yeah,
of
of
what we
course,
are talking about. Yes. So I think after we summarize everything, we can have a brainstorming on where we can send our proposals for funding for those different activities.
Thank you.
Just excuse me, just to raise an issue here, that those kind of species, that the neglected, underutilized species, they are part actually of the identification of the FAO as PGRFA. So they are, when we report the biennium reports of the compliance and these kind of things, they identify these kind of species as part of the PGRFA. So they are part of the mandate of the FAO. So the FAO could help, I think, and play a major role in such case. Maybe might not be by direct funding, maybe by facilitating the correspondence with the funding agencies, the relevant funding agencies.
Thank you.
Yeah, for example, just to mention it here, last maybe 3 years ago, we started a project, a pilot project with the Royal Botanic Garden in England about the conservation and utilization of some of the wild edible species native to Jordan. And we, because of project and it's been pending, we submitted to Darwin Fund, but because of certain reasons, it was not supported. But we are still seeking different agencies and different fund sources for funding the rest of the project, because it's really a major project and it has a very big momentum. Thank you very much.
I think also we should have them in the priorities of each country. So countries also should have them in their own programs. So I think through the awareness, through our networking with the people, then that would help a lot, that each country will consider them and have them among the priority for funding, especially for the local funding agencies, where you can get support in order to work with these species or with the forgotten food. So I think we should work also with the countries, each country, we should work with the countries in order to have more awareness in this direction.
Okay, thank you, Fadila. Yeah, then if nobody is ready, and now, then we come to the last point. You see. As we started with our involvement, the key topics that we would like to stress in this global webinar. I think it's better to organize ourselves, but divide the roles. Maybe we have some people, one or two, maybe. No, how many we are? We have now our Dr. Khalid, Baida, Ali, Rida, Fadila, Dr. Talat. Okay, around 7. Okay, then maybe the first priority, that is the inventory, conservation, characterization, you see, prioritization, and jobs, entry point, availability. This may be given to Dr. Khalid Abu Leila. The first priority area we agreed upon will go to Dr. Khalid Abu Leila.
The first priority, Doctor?
Yeah. The inventory and conservation,
Okay.
framework, national administrations. Then we have Dr. Ali Al-Lawati. We can Dr. Ali. We have the point of awareness, see documentation. Dr. Ali Lawati is, we miss him.
Yes, I'm muted. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We started to divide our role in this global webinar. We said that Dr. Khalid will take the responsibility to tackle the issue of the inventory, conservation, utilization, and legal framework, national legislations. Then you, Dr. Ali Lawati, I don't know, you have two. We have the awareness and documentation, and we have the capacity.
Yeah. I may go for documentations because because I do have some experience on this. I already practices documentation, so yes, I can go through this one.
Then we have Dr. Rida. We can tackle this the issue of networking and platform.
Yes, I think at Arenina either we tackle the networking or we might tackle the conservation, but I think networking is okay. And then also we can work on how to upgrade to a platform.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we have the issue of markets and value addition. Who's experience on that? Dr. Talabi? Jesus? Or Dr.
Yes,
Zubaydah?
I'm with you.
Yeah. The issue of market and value addition.
Okay.
And maybe the investment. And
okay.
Funding. Yeah. It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Market, value addition, and funding mechanisms. I will tackle the issue of policies, and advocacy. I think this more or less. Maybe also the new approach you are talking about. I think so. The Dr. Khalid will take the first part of the inventory, conservation, gaps, interpoint, intervention, legal framework, and the national institutions. Dr. Ali will take the responsibility of the documentation and awareness. Dr. Rida will take the responsibility of the networks and platform. Dr. Falabi will take the responsibility of market value addition, funding and investment. Will take the responsibility of policies and advocacy in addition to the new approach. I think that's what if anybody has any comments. Okay, then I will, as I told you, I will summarize maybe the parts of the priority, areas of main topics. We are sending you, or further, proofreading and the changes or additions. And then also, I think that already we have to summarize all as minutes of this meeting. All what is mentioned is this meeting, we have to document it as minutes of the meeting. Then we will send you all. From my part, I will try my best. By Sunday, I will send you this private topics we agree. Then maybe we'll take the other 1 day or 2 days to finalize the minutes of the meeting. We'll share with you. I would like to remind you that our main intervention in this global webinar will be on the 28th of June. This is we are talking about CET time. CET time. See? But before that, we'll send you everything. All this agenda in your email. You see, so this just for your information that the date is 20. The first day is 28th from 10:30 a.m. up to 12 CET time. Then we will also be involved on the sets for the final addition. But for that, they didn't give us the time. See? They only gave us the time for first involvement.
Can we have it the first week of July, Dr. Adil? Can we have it the first week of July?
And what?
Can we have the webinar in the first week of July?
No, it's already determined. See? It's already determined on the 28th of June, the global webinar. 28th of June. I think Monday. It's Monday. Maybe the next days, 17th, you see. Maybe the week after next week. Is it near?
It will be Monday. But there will be 3 days, so there are not 2 as we were told about in the beginning.
Yeah, the first day for our government, our 2 inputs. Then the second day is for the organizers to summarize our inputs and to draft the global.
Okay, and which days we have to attend? The 3 days?
28th and 30. 28th
and 30.
Yeah.
So 29 is not needed.
Yeah, I think that this is for the organizers.
Thank you very much. Thank you for telling us. This makes it more easier.
Yeah. And then I'd like to thank you all very much for time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Adel.
Contribution to this work. Contribution global webinar, and we'll see work together up to the development of the plan of actions. This will be submitted to the donor. There are some interested donors in funding of this plan of action for potential. So thank you very much again. We are looking forward to see you in other conferences. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for the.
Dr. Adel, thank you so much.
Thank you for all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye bye.
Thank you, Isra. Thank you, Isra.
Thank you. Thank you.